I was born, well, quite normal. But then, when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with, well, I had eye problems, constant headaches. I had some tumours behind my eye. Well, behind both of them. And the only way that they could get rid of them was to, well, operate, but it meant me going blind. So for many years I was blinded until I got to 18. After 14 years of being unable to see, I was finally given the chance to see again. They was doing trials, human trials for eye transplants. I thought with me being an adult now, 18 years of age, I'll go for it. And I did. The eyes were from an anonymous donor. I didn't question it or anything, but yeah, I had my eye transplant. For the first time in my life, I could see again. I could see bright colours and everything in front of me. It was amazing. I never thought I would see things again. Before I could only see with my eye, with my hands, ears, my tongue, my nose, but now I could see with my eyes. For a while everything was fine. I even got a girlfriend. But then I started seeing things, mainly in my sleep. They were just nightmares. I would get up in the middle of the night and walk downstairs and grab a knife before seeing this tall, faceless man in a black suit, and then I would just abruptly wake up. At first they were just nothing, but then they got worse. I saw a psychiatrist. They gave me some medication for it, but then it just got worse. One day when I was in the park having a picnic with my girlfriend, I could see something on a hilltop in the blazing sun. I had no idea what it were, but it looked like that tall, faceless man from my dreams, and I was thinking, could this be real? No, it's not. It's all in my head, I was saying to myself. But the more I tried to ignore it, the worse it got. I kept seeing that tall, faceless man. Even when I was awake and not just in my dreams. People saying it was all in my head. Also, I got picked on a lot for being blind too, but since I got my eyes, well, new eyes, and a girlfriend, these bullies, they seen no reason to pick on me, which I think is a relief, but then they start to pick on me again. You see, this sightings and that of this tall, faceless man just drove me insane. I even drove my girlfriend away and frightened her. And then that's when things started to really take a dark turn. I started locking myself away in my room, getting scared and depressed. I even got bullied and picked on again. It just wouldn't stop. Then I went to sleep that night. I had that same dream again, getting up in the middle of the night, going downstairs, and getting a knife from the kitchen drawer. Oh God. I saw him. Only this time, instead of waking up abruptly, I just said, "Who are you? What do you want?" And the tall, faceless man just said... He didn't really speak, but he sort of got in my head and said, "Slender Man." I then woke up I just couldn't take it anymore. So that's when I got up. I went downstairs and did exactly what I did in the dream, only I saw no tall man. I just got the knife and I gouged out both of my eyes. I have no idea who these eyes belong to, but I just don't know who had these eyes. At this point I just didn't care. I wanted to be blind again. I wanted to be what they called me at school. Then my mother came down, shocked and horrified. I could smell it, I could hear her heart rate changing, because when blind, when one sense diminishes, the others increase. Oh, I could smell the fear, the cold sweat. Before she could do anything, calm me down or anything like that, I'd stab her in the neck, and I loved it. I loved it. Then my father was awakened by the noises. He was horrified at what he saw, but he refused to believe it at first. I could hear it. I could just hear everything in him, the horror that he could feel. Oh, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I got him, bashed his head against the floor, splattering his brains out of his head. Then I noticed my mother was still alive, so I gouged out her eyes and drived my 2 fingers in her empty eye sockets, dragging her away upstairs before finishing her off. That's when I then got into the first aid box and I felt out for a bandage. A bandage. A bandage. Oh yes. I put the bandage on. And then, I then went and hid away. First I went to my girlfriend's house. The very next day, of course. She was wondering what the hell was wrong with me. I told her, I asked her, did she ever love me or care for me? She did, but I drove her away. But I wanted to tell her, I wanted to let her know that I was better now. I was okay. When she saw what I'd done to myself, she would accept it. She wouldn't accept the new me I'd become. So I got her too, and I ripped out her eyes while she was alive, screaming in pain. Her parents, I could hear them running out in horror. I just drived my eyes into her empty eye sockets, dragging her up the garden. Before getting her eyes and feeding them to a crow that just flew on my shoulder. So then, that's when I ran away. The police could hear me. Well, they couldn't hear me. I could hear them. But I could hear the sirens coming. I then went into the woods where I met some people. Well, not people, it was those guys. The 3 kids that used to pick on me for being blind. How they were going to have the last laugh. I could smell them. Each individually, a different body odor from them. I could also hear their noises. I could smell the excitement they were having in the woods, messing around, smoking cigarettes. That's when I came up to them. The ringleader said I was a freak, saying why the fuck I was wearing a blindfold and bleeding. The others, I could smell it, they were already scared. That's when I got the ringleader and bashed a rock against his head, before gouging out his eyes and dragging him up to a tree. And then the other two, no, they ran away. But they weren't gonna get far. They weren't gonna get far. I could smell them. I could smell their fear. I could hear their heart rates changing, going faster and faster. That's when I found one. I found one and I ripped out his eyes, stamping on one of them and dragging him up to the tree. I then found the other one. He seemed to have tripped over and knocked himself out on a rock. Then when he came round, I took out his eyes and I dragged him back to the tree. Then, when I was counting the eyes from what I could feel, a crow flew down to my shoulder again. I knew it was the same crow because I just felt it, I could hear it. And I fed him some of the eyes, whilst the other eyes... the other eyes I just stabbed on. And then I could hear something. A crackly sound. A sound I could hear some tentacles emerging from a tree. Then that's when I saw him. Well, I heard him. That tall, faceless man, standing with his black suit and red tie and that faceless feature of his head, all that pale whiteness. How did I know what he looked like? Because I'd seen him in my dreams. And when he came out from behind the tree, I just turned around and I looked at him and said, "I can see you."